Hi, I have this Fendt 718. It's a 2012 model in the workshop today, and it has a leaking front hub. You can see it's very oily in between there. I'm going to show you how to take the front hub apart in order to change the seals. I already drained the oil from the front axle and the hub itself, and next I'm going to take off this tie rod here. It's held by one nut, and then you need to do some beating to get it out. So the nut is 30 millimeters, but it has very thick layer of paint, so you need to take the paint off or beat the wrench there with a hammer. And then it should come off quite easily. So now I got the nut loose. I'm going to leave it here as it is, so I can beat this with a hammer if I need to. I also have this kind of tool that fits quite well here, and then I can beat this part with hammer, so it's going to pry the tie rod off. This may be a bit tricky, it depends on how old the machine is and how rusted it is, but these may be quite tight in there, so you can also heat this part with a blowtorch, and also you can heat this part with the hammer. It might help to break it loose. So I got now the tie rod out. It came off quite easily with a bit of heat there. Of course, when you heat it or hit it with the hammer, you lose the paint, but it's much easier when you give it some heat, so the repainting isn't that bad of a job. Then this is how the nut looks after taking it off. I wanted to use the nut here so I don't break this thread in case I want to reuse these tie rods, because you can get these rubbers as new without the whole tie rod from Akko, because these don't have any play in them, so I'm thinking of reusing them. But now the tie rod just comes out quite easily. I don't know if I need to take this blade off or if I can wiggle it out there somehow. I'll have to see. Yeah, now the tie rod is off. I think I'd recommend to take this blade off. It just barely fit, and I think I made a little dent here, but that's a small thing. Next I'm going to take off the hub cover. I don't know what it's called. It has two bolts like this. You need to take them off, obviously the wheel and wheel nuts, and then this part comes out here. These bolts can also be quite tight if they're rusted. I recommend you clean the hexagonal hole very thoroughly, and then it's an 8mm hexagonal. Make sure that it's all the way on the bottom of the hole, and then it should come off. And then same to the other side. Now with the bolts loose, I put a small bit of white paint here so I can put the hub back in the same way that it came off. And then there are small holes on both of the sides. You can use a pry bar. Don't really need any force, and it should slide quite easily off. This is how it looks on the inside after the hub is taken off. There's one O-ring sealing the hub. Here's the hub itself. You have these small gears. I recommend you to change these snap rings on the gears every time you take this apart, because it's quite expensive if one of those breaks and goes between the teeth. It's a really cheap way to prevent a big big expensive problem. And this O-ring is next. We are going to take all these bolts off. They are 10mm bolts. And after we've taken them off, we can take 2 of them and put them in these holes that are here, and then tighten them one by one until this piece comes off. I got all the bolts off, and I put 2 of them back to the threaded holes. I have just hand tightened them now, and I think half a turn at a time tighten both of them. And now it is pushing, these bolts are pushing this part out from the hub, so you don't need to use any other tool to pull it out. You can just use these bolts, and it's coming quite easily, but you need to do this slowly one by one so you don't take it in an angle and damage something. Like so. On the hub you can see there's a small dot here, and there's also a small dot here, and you need to line them up when you're installing it back. And now the whole hub part where you connect the tire should be loose, so you can just be able to get this bearing off. I'm not sure. I think this is the best way to get it. The inner ring, just use the outer ring as a tool. And after that you should be able to get also the inner bearing in the same technique. So I managed to get the inner bearing ring out by, I don't know, maybe that's 2 centimeters, but now it seems that I can't get it anymore in the way I'm doing it right now. So I'll take some tool, and because I'm going to anyway change all the seals, I don't really care if I break them, and I'm going to hit the inner ring with this tool to get it off. So I just took a big enough screwdriver, and I'm going to use it. I want to be careful to not drop the whole hub as it comes off. Let's see if it would come off by now by hand. I'm also going to change these drive shaft seals there, and to do it we need to take this whole, I don't know the name of the part, this thing off. So we need to take these kingpins from top and bottom, and then there's one snap ring there. I think you can barely see it. And after that, the whole part should come off. It might be that the whole drive shaft follows it, but we can pull it back if that's the case. So I got the snap ring off. As you can see, I don't know, maybe you can see, it has started to wear out a bit. So I think it's good idea to change also these just in case, so you don't get a bigger breakdown with all the bearings and stuff. I already loosened these kingpin bolts, and I'm also going to take this small 6mm hexagonal bolt out of there. Let me show you. So the reason why I took this center nut bolt off is because I can use it to pull the kingpin out with a tool like this. It's a standard 12mm bolt that I just grinded to be a bit thinner so it fits here. I already took the bottom one out, but this tool wasn't enough. I was scared to break the threads on either this or the bolt or the kingpin, so I used one of these. I really recommend getting one of these. This is very sharp, so you can fit it to the gap and help it come loose, because these where you can pry it, these holes are quite small, and you really can't get a much force with them. One important thing with using that 12mm bolt is that on the left hand side there's this wheel angle sensors electrical connection here, so you can't use the thing on this side on the top kingpin. On the bottom one there's nothing, just metal, so that works on there, but on the top side don't, because you're going to break the electrical connection. And there's the kingpin. You can see the hole where I put the bolt comes through here, and then the bolt hits the middle of that and uses it to pull the pin out. There are also this kind of plates that adjust the bearing clearance. Be sure to not lose these and check if you need to change them to thinner size if your bearings have worn out. And now we should be able to take the part off. We'll see if the drive shaft follows with that one snap ring we took out from here. It should be loose, but because there are bearings and nothing is really holding the drive shaft inside the axle, it's much likely that it follows the part as we take it off. So this is probably a two-man job if it does, because one needs to hold the drive shaft so you don't hit anything with it. So now we have the whole package here, so we can now hit the drive shaft that way, so we can change that seal. And here's also few seals and bushings inside the axle that I'm also going to change as soon as the parts arrive. So now we have the whole hub apart. I'll have to wait for the new seals to arrive. I'm not probably going to film the assembly part, as it's just the same other way around. So I hope you found this interesting and helpful, and thanks for watching.